Let's pray. Grant we beseech thee, Almighty God, members of this honorable house, that they may wisely deliberate for the good of this country and for the glory of thy holy name. Join me in saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Pray be seated. This honorable house now commences.
Item 3, oath of allegiance or affirmation of a new member. Item 4, confirmation of minutes.
Do you have government business?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and members of this honorable house. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the minutes of a proceeding of a sitting of the House of Representatives held at Parliament Chamber, Mount Welldale, St. George's, on Tuesday, the 23rd of June, 2026, at 9 a.m., be taken as read.
Honorable members, the question is that the minutes of the proceedings of a sitting of the House of Representatives held at Parliament Chamber, Mount Welldale, St. George's, on Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026, at 9 a.m., be taken as read. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it. Do you have government business?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that the minutes of the proceeding of the sitting of the House of Representatives held at Parliament Chamber, Mount Welldale, St. George's, on Tuesday, the 23rd of June, 2026, at 9 a.m., be confirmed. Thank you.
Honorable members, the question is that the minutes of the proceedings of a sitting of the House of Representatives held at Parliament Chamber, Mount Welldale, St. George's, on Tuesday, June 23, 2026, at 9 a.m., be confirmed. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Item 5, messages from the Governor General. Item 6, announcement by Mr. Speaker.
Good morning, everyone. I, first of all, would like to say to this honorable house that the clerk of Parliament is down with the flu, and so when you look at the front here, you will see that we have the deputy clerk in his chair and another officer acting as the assistant clerk today. We wish him well. We wish that the clerk can recover from his flu and be back on his feet. I also want to announce that a meeting of the Committee of Privileges is scheduled for Friday, July 31, here in the conference room at Parliament this coming Friday. I take this opportunity to recognize those who are representing us now in Scotland. As we sit here, the Commonwealth Games are well on the way in Scotland, and I'm advised that we have a team of 10 out there Mr. Zachary Gresham is our flag bearer, and Ms. Tilly Collimo is the bearer of the King's Baton. We want to wish our team in Scotland well. And finally, we would be without Honorable Tevin Andrew today, the MP for Carriacou and PD Martinique. He has some pressing engagement, and as such, can be with us here today. Those are my announcements.
Item 7, presentation of petitions. Item 8, presentation of papers and reports from select committees.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to lay on the table the following papers. But before I so do, I wish to wish the Clerk of Parliament speedy recovery. I know normally around Carnival time, there usually be a cold that goes around, and it's unfortunate that he might have caught it. So speedy recovery to him. Item 1, report of the Director of Audit, Grenada, on the resources managed for the period 1 January 2025 to 31 December 2025 by the Project Accounting Unit in the Ministry of Finance for the Digital Government for Resilient Project, DG4R, resources and uses of funds for the period ended 31 December 2025. Second paper, Mr. Speaker, is the Grenada Authority for the Regulation of Financial Institutions, financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2025. Thirdly, report of the Director of Audit, Grenada, on the resources managed for the period 1st January 2025 to 31st December 2025 by the Project Accounting Unit in the Ministry of Finance for the OECS Data for Decision-Making Project, DG4R. Fourthly, report of the status of the operations of the Eastern Caribbean Asset Management Corporation, April 1st, 2025 to 30th September 2025. Fifth and final, Eastern Caribbean Management Corporation financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2025. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Leader of Government Business. These documents and reports are now laid here in Parliament.
Item 9, unopposed private business. Item 10, questions.
Leader of His Majesty Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as it relates to the questions submitted in my name, just to say that between the last sitting and today's sitting, I received a correspondence from the Parliament as it relates to answers to the questions. Particularly, I want to reference the transportation, questions surrounding transportation of students. And I think it was yesterday or the day before, I received some answers regarding the questions to do with agriculture. And let me specify, questions asked to the Minister for Transport and questions asked to the Minister for Agriculture. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, I cannot accept those answers provided. And let me use the opportunity to say that the House of Parliament operates under certain standards and their expectations, established procedures, established norms. When a question is asked of a minister of government, Mr. Speaker, what we expect is a response from the minister of government. So I'm not going to accept a response from a permanent secretary, nor am I going to accept a response from the Transportation Board. If the minister gets a question, and I'm sorry to sound like if I'm having a session on parliamentary procedures. If the minister gets a question, the expectation is that the board can help to prepare the answer. The permanent secretary, of course, can help to prepare the answer. As a matter of fact, the permanent secretary is normally copied on the questions asked because you want to alert your minister that there's a question. But the answer to the question must come from the minister in question. And it is unacceptable that answers to questions are coming from public officers and contract officers within the system. We cannot afford to reduce the standards of this House. So in other words, when I take this answer, I have to wonder whether or not the minister in question even saw the answer. And this is unacceptable. And I'm saying this morning, Mr. Speaker, for the record, that I cannot accept any answer that is given to me coming from a public officer, a permanent secretary, or any officer within the system. The minister for the particular ministry must respond to the questions that are asked of him or her. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Leader of the Opposition. Your point has been noted. Go ahead.
Item 11, urgent questions under the provision of Standing Order number 20, notice of questions.
Proceed.
Item 12, statements by ministers.
Yes, I have noticed the light of the MP. Is it for St. Andrew? St. Andrew, Northwest. The floor is now yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to give a ministerial update on the Ministry of Mental Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs. Today marks a historic milestone for Grenada with the official launch of our 988 suicide hotline at 2 p.m. at Radisson today. This service represents hope, support, and immediate access to people who need access and help as it relates to mental issues. So, Mr. Speaker, all are invited to either be a part in person or it will be streamed on all media across Grenada, including GIS and on social media, our launch of our suicide hotline. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable MP. Is it the Honorable Prime Minister?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning to you, and good morning to honourable members of the House, the acting clerk, and other staff members. Mr. Speaker, I rise to just give a quick update on the many significant road infrastructure work that the Ministry of Infrastructure is taking place. And in the event it was missed last week, to remind the public that work has commenced on the repaving, rebuilding, and renovating of the road that leads from the Morris Bishop International Airport to the Republic Bank, or what is sometimes called Sugar Mill roundabout. The contractor is a Trinidadian firm known as the Malco. Mr. Speaker, that is part of a package of finance, design, and build roadworks that is taking place throughout the length and breadth of Grenada. Phase 1 of the project included the clearing of drains, culverts in the Point Salines area. If you drive by, you would see, for instance, Mr. Speaker, that the culvert that takes the storm and rainwater off the road and into the pond that is adjacent to the runway itself. You would see that that which was once completely blocked and hidden is now quite visible. And so a lot of the preparatory drain works was completed, and the milling of the asphalt of the old road would have commenced yesterday. So I want to remind members of the public, particularly persons who are going to and from the airport, workers, guests, visitors, obviously in the tourist belt and restaurant area, including Sandals, Aquarium, etc., to be mindful of the fact that there will be traffic delays and disruptions as a result of the work. The contractors are undertaking to try and do as much as they can at night to mitigate traffic. So it means persons also in the True Blue and surrounding Calise areas will be impacted. So the first phase of the work, Mr. Speaker, will take us up first to the CARICOM roundabout, then to the Sugar Mill Republic Bank roundabout. The other two phases of the work will see the rebuilding of the Grandans Valley road up to the Woburn area. That is likely to be the most challenging part of the work because we are seeking to widen that part of the road as much as we can, bearing in mind it is a heavily built up and residential area where a lot of the homes are actually in boundary with the road. And so it may be that some relocation and land acquisition may be necessary to accomplish that, and also to construct sidewalks that are wide enough for persons to walk on and wide enough to accommodate wheelchairs as we seek to have more inclusivity in our physical infrastructure to support persons who may have to use a wheelchair for mobility purposes. The remaining part of the work, Mr. Speaker, will see the renovation of the road from the cliff, Manjelu Woburn roundabout, that is sort of now being constructed up to the old Westall Point intersection along the eastern main road. In the interest of time, I would also just briefly mention, Mr. Speaker, that as part of the design build finance package, work continues on the Willis Road. Mr. Speaker, when we assumed office, work had commenced there under a farm roads package of roads that had been awarded to a Hanover construction company. I think it's history that their ability to deliver what was required for many of these roads was limited, and they did not, in fact, have the capacity to proceed with the Willis Road. Work has recommenced there and is proceeding. Also, Mr. Speaker, because of the extensive pipeline work being conducted by NOASA along the Boca Bolio main road, the residents there are experiencing obviously significant challenges. From the Deco gas station back to Mankuma, that stretch of road is also earmarked for rebuilding on the design finance package. The contract is awarded to Reno Construction Company, and in fact, the company is ready to commence the rebuilding of the road, but because of the pipeline issues that NOASA is addressing, including the fact that there are several horizontal, smaller pipes that actually bring water to people's homes running all across that road, NOASA has asked for some time to allow it to, in fact, remove these pipes so that when the road is milled, the pipes are not broken and water doesn't obviously flow. Work is also continuing on the Mabuya intersection of the western main road. So it means, Mr. Speaker, that in our attempt to, obviously improve the road network, there will be some inconvenience, and so we are asking members of the public, motorists, pedestrians to exercise caution, and obviously we're going to ask them to continue to exercise patience as we seek to address the overall improvements in the road. One additional announcement, the road leading to Batway, Mr. Speaker, has been closed due to a broken bridge. We are seeking to have this addressed in the next several weeks. So it means that the alternative route to get to Lever Abattoir has to be pursued. So again, we just want to remind members of the public of that fact. I will, in the interest of time and brevity, Mr. Speaker, I will end my updates here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. All right, proceed.
Item 13, personal explanations. Item 14, motions. Item 15, bills.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to introduce for its first reading a bill for an act shortly entitled Grenada Citizenship by Investment Amendment Bill 2026.
Just all, just all.
A bill which seeks to amend the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Act number 15 of 2013, shortly entitled Grenada Citizenship by Investment Amendment Bill 2026.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that the relevant standing order of the House be suspended to enable this bill to be taken through all the stages at this sitting. Thank you.
Honorable members, the question is that the relevant standing order of the House be suspended to enable the bill to be taken through all stages at this sitting. All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move the second reading of the bill.
Honorable members, the question is that the bill be read a second time. Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Grenada Citizenship by Investment Amendment Bill 2026. Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks to amend the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Act number 15 of 2013 to expressly recognize the Eastern Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Authority, ECIRA, as the regional regulatory authority in the administrative framework of the CBI program. It also seeks to expressly recognize the ECIRA's standard, directives, and enforcement actions, to expressly align due diligence, licensing, oversight, data sharing, and the appeals mechanism, as well as to align the committee and ministerial function and powers with regional standards set by ECIRA. Clause 1, Mr. Speaker, of the bill provides for the name of the bill and the commencement date. to enable the administrative requirements of the bill to be put in place. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, Clause 2 defines the term, the Principal Act, as the Citizenship and Investment Act number 15 of 2013. Clause 3, Mr. Speaker, amends the interpretation section by and large to embrace the ISERA agreement within the local context of our legislation. Clause 4, Mr. Speaker, of the bill amends Section 3, subsection 3 of the Principal Act to provide for the committee to ensure that the CBI program is managed in accordance with directives, guidelines, and standards as issued by the authority. This clause, Mr. Speaker, also amends Section 3, subsection 4 of the Principal Act to provide for the chairperson of the committee to also keep the authority fully informed of the business of the committee and to furnish the authority with any required information. Mr. Speaker, Clause 5 of the bill provides for the insertion of a new clause, or new clauses, Clauses 3A to Clause 3H. So that will be Clause 3A, B, C, D, all the way to H, to the Principal Act. Clause 3A of the bill, Mr. Speaker, provides for the committee to exchange information with the authority. Clause B of the bill requires the committee to undertake an annual independent financial audit and a biannual independent operational audit in accordance with internationally accepted, audited, and financial reporting standards. The provision, Mr. Speaker, would require subclause 4, and in accordance with Article 68 of the agreement, that the audit, amongst other things, assesses the following: the financial management and use of revenues of the authority, its compliance with regulatory and legal and operational requirements, as well as the integration and effectiveness of due diligence and risk assessment procedures. Mr. Speaker, I wish to zoom in a bit on Clause 3A, exchange of information with the authority. Clause 3A, subsection 1, the committee, in consultation with the minister, may enter into a memorandum of understanding, agreement, or other arrangements with the authority for the purposes of the exchange of information, and may, subject to subsection 2, exchange information necessary for the following: necessary for conducting due diligence and risk assessment of an applicant, necessary for verifying and authenticating of documents submitted, as well as detecting financial crimes or national security threats, and also to fulfill any international obligations in relation to the CBI program of another state. Subsection 2, Mr. Speaker, states that any information exchange under subsection 1 or Article 72.2 of the agreement shall be used solely for the purposes of which it was requested and shall be exchanged in accordance with the following. The applicable data protection and confidentiality laws, any terms and conditions set out in the Memorandum of Understanding, agreement, or other arrangements under which the information was originally exchanged. Thirdly, in accordance with internationally accepted standards on the protection of personal data and privacy. Mr. Speaker, from time to time, there may be a special audit of the committee, of the authority, sorry. A special audit of the committee by the authority, Section 3E, subsection 1, pursuant to Section 3, Article 68.5 of the agreement, the authority may initiate special audit of the committee. And this is done, Mr. Speaker, where significant irregularities or adverse audit findings recur in 2 or more audit cycles. In those cases, Mr. Speaker, a special audit is solicited, or is requested or required. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, that is required where credible information or complaints suggesting a systematic governance failure or corruption within the entity. Also, Mr. Speaker, a special audit may be required where the minister fails to lay before the House of Representatives a biannual report within 6 months of the period under subsection 15.1, under section 15, subsection 1, sorry, without valid justification. Or where there is material security, financial, or operational risk to the regional regulatory framework. Mr. Speaker, secondly, under subsection 3E, subsection 2, or subsection 2, where the authority intends to initiate a special audit, the authority shall notify the committee in writing of its intent to conduct the special audit and provide the scope, its timeline, and the terms of reference for such audit. Thirdly, an auditor appointed by the authority to conduct a special audit shall have access to all reasonable times, shall have access at all reasonable times, all books, records, minutes, or other information relevant or kept by the committee. Fourthly, the auditor appointed by the authority to conduct a special audit shall report to the authority on the findings of the auditor, and the authority shall provide a copy of the said report to the minister in question. I now move to Clause 6 of the bill, Mr. Speaker. Clause 6 of the bill provides for an amendment to Section 4, subsection 2, and 6 of the Principal Act to provide for the pre-qualification of local agents by the authority. Clause 7 of the bill provides for the repeal and substitution of Section 7 of the Principal Act to provide for consistency with the said agreement, the ECRA agreement. And it relates to pre-qualification and no objection notices, due diligence checks, and interviews. Clause 8, Mr. Speaker, of the bill provides for the intersection of new clauses, clauses 7A and clause 7B. Clause 7A would provide for the residency and genuine link requirement. Clause 7B would provide for compliance with residency and genuine link requirement. Mr. Speaker, I wish to go a little more in depth with 7A and B. So the insertion of new section 7A and B in the Principal Act. The Principal Act is amended by inserting immediately after section 7 the following new subsections A and B. 7A and 7B. 1, residency and genuine link requirement. 7A, subsection 1, the committee or other competent authority shall ensure that the main applicant or a main applicant and each dependent of the main applicant named in an application, a CBI application, to whom citizenship is to be granted, commits to establishing a genuine and effective link to Grenada through the fulfillment of residency and integration obligations by the main applicant and the dependent of the main applicant. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, without prejudice to any other requirement under this Act and the ECWA agreement, a main applicant and each dependent of the main applicant referred to in subsection 1 shall be required by the committee or other competent authority to commit to the following. Both the applicant and the main dependent, and the dependent, Mr. Speaker, must commit to being physically present within Grenada for an aggregate of at least 30 days during or up to any of the first 5 calendar years after the date of the grant of the certificate of citizenship. And also, you must participate in a mandatory integration program integrating within the state of Grenada, which may include civic education, including knowledge of the laws of Grenada, knowledge of the history of Grenada, knowledge of the constitutional principles under which Grenada functions and operates. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, is cultural orientation or community service engagement. And thirdly, the applicant and the dependent must commit to an in-person or virtual interview. Must be an interview, whether it's in-person or virtual, conducted by a competent authority of Grenada or a delegated competent third party in accordance with the ECWA Agreement Act. Section 3, Mr. Speaker, for the purposes of satisfying the requirement of subsection 2A, the required aggregate may be set collectively by the main applicant and each dependent named in the application. Excuse me. Subsection 4, without limiting subsection 2A, the main applicant and each dependent named in the application resulting in the grant of citizenship by investment must each be physically present within the territory of Grenada for not less than 5 days during the first 12 months following the date of the grant of the citizenship by investment. Subsection 5, after the individual minimum days requirement under subsection 4 is satisfied, the remaining days needed to reach the aggregate of 30 days may be satisfied by the main applicant or any dependent or a combination of the main applicant and dependents over any of the first 5 calendar years after the date of the grant of the citizenship by investment. Subsection 6. The days of physical presence under this section need not be constructive, but where the main applicant and any applicant are present on the same day in the territory of Grenada, that day shall be counted only once toward the aggregate requirement. Subsection 7, Mr. Speaker, the aggregate may be exceeded by a main applicant and a dependent, and by a main applicant without a dependent. And this section does not affect or prohibit a main applicant and a dependent from satisfying the physical or other residency requirement prior to the date of the grant of the citizenship by investment. Mr. Speaker, Section B, compliance with residency and genuine link requirement. The minister shall prescribe the manner and evidence required to demonstrate compliance with the requirements set out in Section 7A on an application and on the renewal of a passport, which shall include but shall not be limited to the following. Immigration records shall include immigration records, shall include certificate of completion of the mandatory integration program in the state of Grenada. Notwithstanding Section A, Mr. Speaker, a main applicant and any of his or her dependent may elect upon the notification of the committee to establish a period of residency in Grenada prior to the formal grant of citizenship by investment. Subsection 3, any period of residency completed under subsection 2 shall be undertaken in accordance with the applicable immigration and residency laws and upon verification by the committee or other competent authority count towards the fulfillment of the minimum residence requirement stipulated under subsection 2. So, Mr. Speaker, what this is seeking to do, the residency requirement, is to ensure that there is some strong connection between the new citizen by investment and the country in question, Grenada. Mr. Speaker, this ensures that the citizen is acquainted with the laws, the customs, the way of life of a people, and be able to immerse in the culture and understand us and actually be physically present in Grenada for a period of time. Prior to this amendment, Mr. Speaker, citizens did not have to fulfill these requirements. So this amendment, Mr. Speaker, is bringing the new citizen or the new applicant, because in order to get the citizenship, those conditions have to be first satisfied. So it's bringing the applicant into alignment with our laws, our legislations, our customs, our way of life, the culture of our people, and be able to learn the language, to be at least be acquainted with the language, our national anthem, and our Constitution, the highest law that governs our land. So, Mr. Speaker, in a nutshell, these are some of the very important things that this legislation seeks to address. I want to move a little further down, Mr. Speaker, to address the insertion of a new section, Section 8B and C in the Principal Act. And the Principal Act is amended by inserting immediately after Section A the following new sections, B and C. And this, Mr. Speaker, treats with the sharing of information on the denial and withdrawal of application for citizenship by investment. So 8B, subsection 1, the committee shall maintain a secure and regularly updated register or database of all applications for citizenship by investment that have been deprived or revoked under Section 12. Section 2, Mr. Speaker, the committee shall notify the Chief Executive Officer or head of the CBI unit or the committee of each state and the authority of a deprivation, revocation, denial, or withdrawal of any application within 3 business days of issuing the denial decision or confirming the withdrawal. So, Mr. Speaker, what this is seeking to do is to ensure that the information is shared amongst member states that somebody is either withdrawn or denied citizenship, to prevent one applicant from being denied in one state of citizenship by investment and being able to be accepted in another state within this region. And so, Mr. Speaker, by the sharing of this information, it prevents one playing against the other. And it introduces a measure of security as well as equity in the system. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, information shared pursuant to this section shall be treated as confidential and shall be used solely for safeguarding the integrity and security of the CBI program. The register and database referred to in this subsection 1 shall be made accessible to the authority, and the authority shall ensure that all data sharing complies with applicable data protection laws and international standards and best practices. The prohibition, denial, and withdrawal of applications. Section 8C1, subject to subsection 3, the committee shall not accept, process, or provide any application for citizenship by investment from an applicant whose application has been denied by a state. For the purposes of this section, Mr. Speaker, a denied application includes an application that has been withdrawn as specified under subsection 6 of section 8A. Notwithstanding subsection 1, Mr. Speaker, an exception to the requirement in subsection 1 may be made only with the express written approval of the authority, and on the submission of compelling evidence demonstrating a material change in circumstances or the existence of a procedural irregularity prior to the denial. Where the committee knowingly proposes or approves an application in contravention to subsection 1, the authority shall issue a cease and desist order and a formal reprimand to the committee, which shall be stated in the annual report of the authority. So, Mr. Speaker, this again demonstrates how the strengthening of these amendments, Mr. Speaker, how it seeks to strengthen the legislation, avoid duplication, strengthen security, and enable the sharing of information in a way that is confidential. So, Mr. Speaker, Clause 16 of the bill provides an amendment to Section 16.2, subsection 2 of the Principal Act to ensure that regulations made on the Act are consistent with regulations made under the ECRA agreement, bringing all of this into perspective. So, Mr. Speaker, I wish to now commend this bill to the House for debate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Leader of Government Business. The Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning again. Mr. Speaker, with your leave, I beg to stand in support of the debate in favor of the bill and would seek to commend to all members the passage of the bill in this honorable House. Mr. Speaker, I wish to point out that at the get-go, the amendment to this bill is not merely a technical amendment. And while the Leader of Government Business has done an exceedingly admirable job of, in a sense, giving a clause-by-clause amendment and the technical implications of it, I think it's important for me, as the Minister with responsibility for citizenship, to point out, Mr. Speaker, that this is, in fact, a major and fundamental amendment to the Citizenship by Investment Act that seeks to modernize Grenada's Citizenship by Investment program to align it with the Eastern Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Authority, or what is called the ECIRA, E-C-C-I-R-A. That framework, as well as the evolving international standards framework. And I also wish to point out, Mr. Speaker, that not only is it a fundamental amendment of our legislation, but it also positions Grenada as the leader in the citizenship by investment migration industry when it comes to regulatory oversight and the modernization of our investment migration legislation and the operating environment. Mr. Speaker, I start by emphasizing that all of the OECS territories which have citizenship by investment migration industries have signed the ECIRA agreement establishing the Eastern Caribbean Regulatory Authority and have since enacted legislation, including Grenada, which enacted the ECIRA agreement on the 19th, by Act 19 of 2025. That act, Mr. Speaker, has since been will commence, on the 31st of July, 2026. As Minister with Responsibility for Citizenship, I have signed the SR and O that gives effect to the SIRA agreement and makes it law in Grenada on the 31st of July, days from now. What this means, Mr. Speaker, is that we are duty-bound by our legal treaty obligation to, in fact, amend our Citizenship by Investment Act to make sure that the Act, the CBI Act, or Domestic CBI Act, now becomes compliant with the Eastern Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Authority Agreement. And therefore, when I say this is a fundamental amendment to our existing law, it is in this context that I speak of it. Because what it does, Mr. Speaker, not just for Grenada, but for all of the OECS territories who have a Citizenship by Investment Migration program, it subjects all of us to regional regulatory oversight. And so all of us are required to comply now with this agreement. Second, Mr. Speaker, the regulatory authority will be hosted and situated in Grenada. Mr. Speaker, since the PRG government, almost all regional institutions, particularly within the OECS, that once was headquartered in Grenada took flight and have never returned. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, in fact, was once headquartered in Grenada. It took flight during the PRG period and has since been headquartered in St. Lucia. The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is located in St. Kitts. The Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority is located in Antigua. The OECS Commission is located in St. Lucia. In fact, I don't think Grenada and Dominica, and to a lesser extent St. Vincent, are the territories with little or no regional-based organizations that regulate any particular sector or industry within the region. And so Grenada is happy to host and proud to host the Eastern Caribbean Regulatory Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Authority, because it demonstrates our commitment to, in fact, high standards of and regulatory oversight of the citizenship by investment migration space. I am happy to report also, Mr. Speaker, and I wish to place on record my appreciation to the Honorable Dennis Cornwall, Minister for Finance, because on the 19th of June, Mr. Speaker, he would have directed the Governor of the Central Bank and the Central Bank to retain $1.2 million as Grenada's contribution towards funding of the Eastern Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Authority. That, Mr. Speaker, for the record, comes out of Grenada's $8.3 million profit declared to it by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in June of this year. So, Mr. Speaker, we've signed on the agreement, we've enacted the agreement into law. Through this process here and in the upper house, we seek to amend our bill to make it compliant with the agreement. We have agreed to host the regulatory authority. We are in the process of finalizing the host agreement. We are also in the process currently, Mr. Speaker, of looking at premises that will actually physically house the regulatory authority. And I believe HR recruitment is already on the way in terms of the regulatory authority. Mr. Speaker, in terms of the substantive, I think, policy reasons for this bill, I wish to highlight a number of things. The bill seeks to protect Grenada's sovereignty, strengthen the integrity of our citizenship program, crucially safeguard visa-free access, preserve a major source of financing for national development. I've already talked about ensuring Grenada's regional leadership on this issue, and crucially, positioning Grenada for the next generation of investment migration. Mr. Speaker, it's important to point out that this legislation did not emerge in isolation. and the agreement amongst the 5 CBI countries did not emerge in isolation. I'm not sure. Okay, I was just wondering if my time was already up.
No, Honorable MP, it's not a bell.
All right, just for my record, how much more time do I have, Mr. Speaker? I was asking how much more time I had.
The clock should be timing.
I'm done.
How much time he has left?
How much more time? But this clock, when I started, this clock was saying 12 minutes, so it couldn't be right. So that's what I'm asking. So by my count, only 5 minutes is gone.
Okay.
10 minutes. Okay. Thank you.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, the agreement and the legislation did not emerge in isolation. It was in response to a rapidly changing global environment in which citizenship by investment operates. In fact, Mr. Speaker, for example, the European Union has repeatedly reviewed citizenship by investment migration programs globally, expressing concerns about security, governance, anti-money laundering controls, and transparency. Similar concerns have been raised by the OECD and by FATF. In fact, recently, Mr. Speaker, the European Union wrote to each of the OECS territories that has citizenship by investment migration programs and that are also a party to the free visa access Schengen arrangement with the European Union, indicating that if these programs continued and were not ended by 2028, that the visa-free access programs would probably come to an end, because just the fact of having an investment migration program or citizenship by investment migration program, in their view, is a sufficient trigger to warrant revocation of the visa-free treaty arrangements that we have with them. So we accept, Mr. Speaker, that countries like Grenada, like our brothers and sisters in the OECS who operate investment migration programs, expected to demonstrate that they know exactly who they are admitting, where the applicant's wealth originates from, whether they possess security risk, and whether robust systems exist to detect fraud, sanctions, etc. And obviously, failure to take those matters seriously will have consequences. So we recognize, Mr. Speaker, therefore, that all of us, not just Grenada, in the OECS, are required to reform. We are required to choose stronger governance. We are required to choose higher standards, because protecting the value of Grenadian citizenship ultimately means protecting every Grenadian citizen. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, we've chosen, rather than complain, rather than moan, to in fact reform. So we recognize that whether it's transparency, whether it's beneficial ownership, whether it's sanctions compliance, visa-free access, or visa waivers, it is important for us to build trust with our partners, to demonstrate to them that we are serious, and to demonstrate that we can cooperate and work together on these issues. Because if the trust is not there, Mr. Speaker, we will lose credibility, both as individual countries in terms of our programs and collectively. It's important for us to emphasize this, Mr. Speaker. CBI revenues have helped Grenada and many of the OECS countries through exceedingly difficult economic times. And the revenues, as we know, are used in a wide range of areas, from education to healthcare to disaster recovery to housing. And Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, and we were to go on the IMA website right now, you would see, for instance, Mr. Speaker, the quarterly statistics for 2026. It will tell you the inflows that Grenada has received from the investment migration program. Real estate investments have totaled $73 million for the year. Net revenues from the investment migration program for the quarter is approximately $38 million. So if you take the $38 million directly to the state and the inflows of $73 million to the real estate investments, in the first quarter of 2026, Mr. Speaker, you're talking $100 million non-tax revenue to the countries. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to refer to an example of what the investment migration industry means, perhaps in a more startling sense, to our brothers and sisters in the OECS, not just Grenada, and why it is important for us to defend, modernize, modify, but protect the programs because of their significant tool and impact for development finance. And I refer to, Mr. Speaker, an article from the St. Kitts and Nevis Observer, and it speaks to the predictions of the IMF that St. Kitts and Nevis's debt is expected to climb above 60%, simply because of a significant drop-off in investment migration revenue. It basically, and I'm quoting Mr. Speaker, that the debt, which stood at 58.4% at the end of 2025, will increase to 63.6% in 2026 and continue trending upward in the absence of stronger fiscal adjustment. In fact, it predicts that by 2031, 4 years, the debt could reach as much as 78.2% of GDP under current projections. A key driver of the rising debt burden is the sharp decline in citizenship by investment revenue since 2024. CBI receipts, which peaked at 25.8% of GDP in 2022 and 22.2% in 2023, are projected at just 5.3% in 2025. So, Mr. Speaker, what you have here is a dramatic five-fold drop in their revenues. And with the five-fold drop in their non-tax revenues, you see, therefore, the projections of significant debt. Because where are they going to get the money from to finance the development? They have to go borrow. So, Mr. Speaker, we recognize, all of us, in varying degrees, Grenada is not as dependent as St. Kitts and Nevis on CBI revenues. But we recognize, all of us, that the importance of the programs as a financial development tool cannot be underestimated, and hence the need to ensure that we protect the program and that we do what is required to ensure that the programs remain for future generations of Grenadians and citizens within the OECS at the come. So the policy seeks to strengthen integrity. We will all have greater consistency in terms of our standards, greater accountability, because the domestic CBI committees are not required to report to a regional entity. We will have greater confidence internationally, because we are demonstrating to our partners that we are serious and transparent about having international standards, not just because they say so, but because we recognize the value of it. The leader of government business has spoken about what the bill introduces: the mandatory interviews, the enhanced due diligence, the approved international due diligence providers, ongoing monitoring, continuous post-approval vetting, shared regional intelligence, stronger security screening, and that this is no longer a paper-based process. Mr. Speaker, I want to emphasize this. All of these things are taking place with the Grenada CBI process right now. In fact, many of the standards which have been established, for example, the standard that if you're denied in one country, you were denied in Grenada is a standard that Grenada established. Once the agreement established that we should have in-person or virtual interviews, Grenada implemented this. So it is important for us to emphasize that we are already, when it comes to best practice, leading the way, even if the legislation did not require some of these mandatory standards. Of course, Mr. Speaker, by having greater regional cooperation, it means that we accept our reputations are interconnected.
Honorable Prime Minister, I have to pause you here. The bell went. I'm sure you didn't hear it, it seems.
Well,
so you may require additional time, but the allotted time is up. So I advise you to make the request for...
Well, if I may be permitted 3 minutes, Mr. Speaker, I almost feel that I need to lodge a complaint, Mr. Speaker. I was looking at the clock, and as I said, when I looked at the clock when I started, it said 0:12.
All right.
I assume it had not gone back to zero start. So.
Well, I heard the bell, so I now award you up to 5 minutes. So.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the indulgence. So, Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, from a regional perspective, and this is important, oftentimes our international partners, no one distinguishes Grenada from Dominica, St. Lucia from St. Kitts and Nevis, or from Antigua. So if one program is weak, all programs are weak. Our reputations take a collective blow. And so having things like shared databases, shared intelligence, shared security alerts, shared information on denied applicants, common regulatory standards seeks to protect all of us together. Again, and Minister spoke to it, the independent audits, the operational audits, the financial reporting, the compliance reporting. We are already there. and we're happy to continue doing so. I was able to go on the website and openly look at the revenue generated from the program, the number of applicants, where they're coming from, it's important, Mr. Speaker, to highlight, because sometimes, we think CBI or persons applying for citizenship are only coming from far distant and exotic lands. But I will show you quickly, Mr. Speaker, for the quarter 2026, the applicants came from Nigeria with the greatest percentage, 24%, China, 15%. Interestingly, Mr. Speaker, the United States of America at 9%. Interestingly, Mr. Speaker, Germany at 6%. There are a number of other countries, but I just pointed, Mr. Speaker, that the program is, in fact, an international, well-recognized development finance tool that also provides a second opportunity for citizenship for persons looking for it. Mr. Speaker, again, the bill and the amendment will enhance our transparency, and importantly, it will reinforce the need for the genuine connection between investor and country. And Mr. Speaker, I am not going to belabor the point because the leader of government business spoke to it, but I want to emphasize it's also a tool to drive tourism, and in fact to drive what I call post the acquisition of citizenship investment, because we've created a diaspora, and we want to be able to leverage, particularly where the diaspora is wealthy and where they have the expertise and the connections, to further drive investment in other sectors within Grenada. So I take it, therefore, Mr. Speaker, that the bill says I need to conclude. Mr. Speaker, it therefore naturally gives me a sense of profound responsibility, as I said, to commend the bill to the members of the House and to ask for the support in its passage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable MP for St. Andrew Northeast, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to give my contribution on this bill that seeks to recognize the Eastern Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Authority as the regional authority for the CBI program. And Mr. Speaker, from the onset, it is important to state that this is an important bill as it seeks to strengthen the integrity, credibility, and international reputation of our country as we operate the CBI program. However, Mr. Speaker, I believe we are at a juncture in which we need to review the CBI, the whole CBI project itself. And it is clearly known that under our administration, the CBI was established. And it was established because the revenue generated was used for national transformational projects. And that is very important, Mr. Speaker. We can speak about under Section 10 and Section 11, where applicants were contributing to the development of very important projects within our country. And we can look back, as was stated before, it strengthened tourism, created employment for our citizens, and so CBI, I believe, served a very important purpose. We can speak about developments like the range development projects, the 2 hotels at Lasages, and the benefits that our country are receiving as a result. Even the Monkuma Road is a CBI project. The Grenada National Resort in St. Patrick, another CBI project. But we also have to look at the risk of this project meted out to our own citizens, especially in recent times. The European Union has given the 5 OECS countries involved in this project up to June 2028, less than a year, to bring this program to an end. And we
I believe as a regional body, we have to ask ourselves, will they continue to move the goalposts to ask for stronger laws, stronger measures in place? Because, as stated, the visa-free access for the Schengen group of countries, it was catered under normal citizenship, not citizenship for investment. So, by investment, that is. So, how have our country benefited in recent years? We have heard about the large sums of revenue collected as a result of the sale of passports. But have we measured it with the risk now that our own citizens are faced? Even the U.S. State Department has placed a $15,000 US bond on our own citizens applying for visa entry into the United States. We must factor in those things, Mr. Speaker. Our citizens may lose access to the Schengen group of countries. And, Mr. Speaker, while it is important that it was stated that we are leading in regulatory oversight, it simply means because we are leading in the sale of passport as well. But are those sales of passport benefiting our citizens, really and truly? And there are different schools of thoughts here. Should we continue to strengthen regulatory authority to ensure we protect our international reputation? Or should we look at creative, more visionary ways to generate revenue for our country? This is what we have to look at. There are different schools of thought. Should we just accept the EU's mandate and look at ways in which we can create better development for our country? As I said, we have heard about the huge amount of revenues it has brought to our country, but has our citizens felt the benefit of those type of revenues in recent years? Maybe some clarification can be made as to what new transformational projects came from that. It was stated that the revenue from CBI has helped our countries. Yes, I remember during COVID-19 period, public servants continued to be paid and so forth, because there was the bill that provided a mandatory 40% of revenues from CBI into the National Transformational Fund. And I'm sure these were revenues that were used to sustain our country in the crisis then. However, I remember it was brought right here that the 40% was reduced down to 10%, so less revenues going into that fund. So these are the things we must ask ourselves. Do we want to continue with selling our passports, underscoring the risk that it is bringing to our citizens? The past few years, we have not felt the benefits of the CBI to our citizens and our country. Healthcare still continue to deteriorate. We still have many issues with the cost of living. Housing is continue to be an issue. So how are we benefiting at this point by the CBI revenues that we boast about, that we are generating? Establishing the authority in Grenada, of course, would come at additional cost to us as a country as well. And these are the things we have to consider. I believe CBI has outlived its purpose, and it is time that we require strong leadership that can be more creative in looking for better and stronger ways to generate revenues to develop our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, MP, for St. Andrew Northeast. Is it St. Andrew Northwest? Oh, sorry, St. George's, the angle. I now invite you to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me say good morning to all members, and both on the government side and opposition side, and to you and staff. I want to take the opportunity quickly to wish the clerk of Parliament a speedy recovery in his time of sickness. Mr. Speaker, I rise in full support of this amendment bill and would like to focus particularly on two areas, but first, data protection. Now, as you know, Mr. Speaker, citizenship by investment applications contain lots of sensitive information, such as passport records, financial documents, etc. The bill that is before us seeks to enhance regional information sharing, particularly for applications denied, withdrawn, or revoked. So, for instance, applicants shouldn't be able to withdraw an application after serious concerns are raised in Grenada and then seek to apply elsewhere, because now, under this arrangement, information will be shared, and that is something that once had a gap, which we can say confidently could be closed. Furthermore, the bill mandates secure transmission of encryption, multi-factor authentication, access controls, monitoring, and audit trails. In other words, what this is saying now, it is hopefully setting the standard as to how sensitive data will be shared in the interest of the regional security, and I dare say international image that is going to go out there. So in other words, if something is happening in another country that currently pursues citizenship by investment, and it is negative to them, and an individual is involved, this information will be shared at the level of IMA, etc., and they can all be on the same page when it comes to that. But, Mr. Speaker, the importance of having a clear standard is not only to address just the simple risk, because you see, what we need to get away from is just saying that Grenada needs to pivot away from CBI. We are not doing anything wrong. CBI is not illegal so long as it is being managed well. And I want to address, Mr. Speaker, some statements made, just to update the nation or remind the nation that when Grenada entered its structural adjustment program with the former administration, they agreed that should the CBI revenues hit a particular amount, which it did under this administration, we will pay out to the bondholders an interest payment. This was clear. It was expressed to the reason why. So when we had the Russian boom, as one member is referring to, about a lot of money was there and we ain't seeing the benefits, it went into paying some of the bad debts that we agreed to repay under the former administration. So that is first. And it's not magic. It's not difficult to understand. It is clear. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the notion that because the international community has raised concern over a particular program, that we must then now cease all activities with it is just a cowardice approach. We are not interested in fighting any wars. We are interested in developing our country, and by extension, the region. This, we believe, what we are doing in terms of consistent reforms is extremely important, not just to secure our citizenship by investment impression throughout the world, but to ensure that Grenada's economic resilience is well taken care of. Because if we can think of other avenues to raise revenue, why can we not develop this one to the best of our ability to still raise the revenues and then also include some of the new and spoken about innovative ways to generate revenue? The fact of the matter is, Mr. Speaker, it is very limited. So to give the public the impression that while we need to do this, but we need to run from it and so on, where will Grenada get the revenues to do what it has to do? That was just spoken about: healthcare, education, etc. So we have to understand that sometimes there are things with risk. Everything in life, there is a risk. You have to be able to wait, and we believe this administration is taking a responsible approach in its effort to be able to upgrade, enhance the current citizenship by investment regime, and looking at it not just from a national standpoint, but also from a regional standpoint, and by extension, that collective effort of security to help improve and bolster our international image as it relates to citizenship by investment. So, Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to say also that as we are coming on the heels of the DTA, Digital Transformation Agency, and standardizing practices, procedures, specific as it relates to data protection. This amendment is timely because it can help set the standard as to how we would handle sensitive information throughout the country as we go forward. So I look forward to this bill, and I am in full support of this amendment 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MP for St. George Northeast. All right, I think we may proceed. Leader of His Majesty Opposition. I saw your light and I call on you. Oh, okay, okay. The dealer of, whose light was it then on that side?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, members of the Honorable House, this Honorable House, and our viewing and listening audience. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the amendments to this bill. The Leader of Government Business, as well as the Honorable Prime Minister, have quite eloquently expounded on the necessity for making the required and suggested changes. So I will not bother to regurgitate what has already been said so convincingly. I just wish, Mr. Speaker, to address a couple of questions raised by my good friend on the other side from St. Andrew Northeast. Questions about how or whether the good citizens of Grenada are benefiting from the revenues generated by the CBI program. Mr. Speaker, many of our social safety net programs receive their oxygen from the revenues generated by CBI. And, Mr. Speaker, all of the many projects that the member herself cited in her presentation have also created jobs and other positive spin-offs that the citizens of Grenada continue to benefit from. So I hope, Mr. Speaker, that her concerns have been allayed. So, Speaker, when we came into office 4 years ago, there was indeed provisions on the books for 40% of CBI revenues to go into a special fund. I think now it is of historical record, Mr. Speaker, that that fund contained exactly $0.00. I'm quite happy, Mr. Speaker, to report to this Honorable House and to edify my honorable colleague on the other side that while it was reduced, the allocation was reduced from 40% to 10%, the account has grown from $0.00 at 40% to over $61 at 10%, $61 million, Mr. Speaker, at 10%. It's Mr. Speaker, I taught at the Anglican High School for 15 years. And the motto of the school, written in Latin, says, facta non verba. Deeds, not words. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No.
I wanted to stand on a point of clarity, but it's finished.
No. Honorable Leader, the opposition, you.
Okay.
Else?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise again this morning in support of the bill that is before this House. And we believe that any legislation brought forward to strengthen, whether it's a CBI program, project, initiative, whether it has to do with strengthening regulatory framework, whether it has to do with increasing oversight of this very important project, Mr. Speaker, we will support. And it's really good, it feels good that in this House today we can have both sides of the House speaking on this particular initiative in terms of support. Because we know that at some point in our history, there are persons from the other side of this House who felt strongly that Grenada should not continue the CBI program. But we've seen, Mr. Speaker, over the years, how much benefit that this program has brought to Grenada. But not just that, credit to all of those who've been part of the management of this program, because not only has it been recognized locally as a major contributor to the national development of Grenada, significant major investment, whether we're speaking hotel projects, increasing room stocks, creating thousands of jobs for people. Mr. Speaker, this CBI initiative has contributed in a significant way to our country. So, Mr. Speaker, this morning we have no hesitation at all to support this particular bill before us. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to be part of a consultation with the ECCB on this very matter. So as an opposition, we were consulted by them as it relates to establishing this regulatory framework. And we supported it because we believe that there is a need for equity. We believe that there is a need to increase security. And we also believe, Mr. Speaker, that there's a need to protect the integrity or to continue to protect the integrity of this program. But we cannot shy away from the fact, Mr. Speaker, that while we do all of that, there are some factors that we don't control. So when the member for St. Andrew Northeast made mention of the concerns of how the international community has been responding, and I say community here, Mr. Speaker, because we know that governments and those who have concerns about the CBI program internationally, they are making it far more difficult for the success of these programs and programs like these because of the concerns that they have, the risk involved. And so these steps, Mr. Speaker, quite obviously, is intended to reduce some of the risk, potential risk of these programs. So our support today, Mr. Speaker, is in the interest of Grenada's development. It is in the interest of the sustainability of the program, in spite of its volatility. And when reference was made, Mr. Speaker, earlier by the member for St. David about St. Kitts and the possibility that their debt is going to increase significantly because of a significant decline in revenue from the program, it sort of reminds me of when your neighbor's house is on fire, you got to wet yours. And again, it speaks directly to what the member for St. Andrew Northeast hinted. And you see, it's not everything we have to, always be seeking to put up a defense against. There are some things that are just facts and reality. So it is a fact, Mr. Speaker, that we don't control fully the issue of revenue from this program. We cannot sit and determine that this is what it's going to be, and then it turns out to be that. So it's very volatile. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to reference just an example. We speak about St. Kitts, but we can speak about Grenada in a similar context. So if you look at the total revenue from this program in 2022, you were talking about $191 million, right? Mr. Speaker, if you go to 2023, it went up to 455 million. When you go to 2024, it went up to 551 million. And you come to 2025, 190 million. And I'm making this point to say it's not just St. Kitts. We are not anticipating in any near future that we're going to be going back to 551 million. And that's the point. We don't totally control what happens with these programs because there are so many things that hinder. So when we had, as one member described it, he said it was the Russian spike. A very interesting reference. Now, are we going to have this next year and the year after and the year after? So I'm making the point, Mr. Speaker, to say, one, as the member for St. Andrew North, he said, we must, as we benefit from the revenues from CBI, we must look seriously at alternative revenues because we just don't know when it's going to spike and we just don't know when it's going to decline significantly. So that is absolutely necessary. But in addition to that, Mr. Speaker, the point was made, and sometimes, as I said, we seek to defend everything, not paying attention. We focus on the messenger rather than the message. The fact remains that if you look back at the history of this program, under the new National Party's administration, you can see the significant investment in long-term infrastructural development under this initiative. And what we are saying is not that you cannot do what was referred to as social safety net projects. That's okay. But the significant investment from this project must be in long-term initiatives that have significant impact economically in our country. And that is why we are saying after 4 years, we would have loved to see a major hotel project, a new hotel project out of this, increasing our room stock, increasing job creation. So when we float around the fact that social safety net programs create jobs, I mean, tell me, how many? What are we seriously talking about? We want to see the revenues, the millions from this initiative. We want to see additional investment. In addition to safety net projects, we want to see some significant investment nationally from this project. And it doesn't have to be just hotels and room stock, but things that are going to create hundreds and hundreds of jobs, thousands of jobs, and going to have lasting impact in a significant way. That is the point, Mr. Speaker. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, I want to also make reference to the setting up of the authority, hosting the authority in Grenada. And we ought not, Mr. Speaker, to be looking at this just from the perspective of whether another country is hosting a regional office here and Grenada is not hosting. I mean, it would be nice to host many offices, regional offices in Grenada. It would be a nice thing to talk about. It would be a nice thing to, you know, reference. But, Mr. Speaker, I want us to look a little beyond that in terms of the implications. And in the last sitting, Mr. Speaker, when I referenced, I don't remember what the bill was, but when I referenced that when bills are brought carrying financial implication to the state, that we expect something to be said in this House as it relates to this implication, the financial implication. And I got an entire lecture on what should be in a bill and what should not be in a bill. Mr. Speaker, I'm not dumb, so I know I'm not expecting to see a budget in the bill. But I expect the presenter of the bill to say to us that we are not concerned about the financial implication of this move that the government is going to make. Why? Because we have done a cost-benefit analysis, and we see that the revenue from this decision, this legislation that we are going to pass, we've done a cost-benefit analysis, and we see we are comfortable as a government that we are going to be raising far more revenue than we are going to be expending. And you see, those things ought not to be taken lightly, Mr. Speaker, because we are talking about state funds. We are talking about the resources of this country. So when you raise a concern, what will it cost to host? So we just heard that we've paid over $1 million to get this going. Mr. Speaker, nothing else said. Should we be concerned? Should we not be concerned? And I want to reference back a conversation in this House, because you see, the subject of cost-benefit analysis must not be taken lightly. And we have a right to know. So I'm not asking, I'm not dumb, I'm not crazy. I am not asking the government in the bill to put anything as it relates to cost and expected cost of a project. That's not my request. My request is that when a bill is presented, at least the presenter is going to be able to say to us that they have done. Because before you make an important decision like this, that we want to host a regional organization in Grenada, you don't just get up one morning and say we're going to do that. You must have done some kind of assessment, and you concluded that these are the benefits, and that the benefits outweigh the cost that we are going to be incurring. And it reminds me, Mr. Speaker, of when the government said that we are going to be investing in some $50 notes. I remember very clearly the conversation in this House. I asked about the cost and the huge sum that was going to be spent. And I asked it in the interest of the concern about our economic situation, the concern that when you go to a medical facility, a nurse would tell you they don't have gauze or they don't have bandage. Now, if we are going to be making a significant investment in whatever it is, we must be responsible to consider our current situation. And the response that I got, Mr. Speaker, at the time was that the millions we are going to be spending, or whatever the figure was, I'm going to get that, Mr. Speaker, we should not be concerned about it, because we are going to be making far more from the sale of these $50 notes. That was the response given here. As a matter of fact, let me go further. It was said that a report, a financial report on this, was going to be presented to the House. So, Speaker, I need to now make that request that probably we need to see what it is. Because even when the financial report was provided preliminary, there's nothing significant there that points to the profits that we've made. And I'm using this just as an example to say that somebody must be concerned what it's going to cost and what it's going to benefit. If no one is concerned about this, then better we lock down the parliament. If no one is going to be concerned, how much are we spending for this? And what are the benefits? And are we comfortable that the benefits outweigh the cost? If that is not a concern, then why are we here? Why are we here? And I wish to make the point in closing, Mr. Speaker, that A, we fully support this because we believe we need to protect this program. And there needs to be equity, not just speaking Grenada now regionally. And I'm really happy that the heads of the OECS would have agreed to support this legislation that was passed for setting up of the authority. And now we are going further as a country to align our existing legislation with what we would have already passed before. But it cannot be in isolation. While we do this, we must seriously look at the future of the CBI program. We must seriously look at how are we going to diversify? How are we going to look at alternatives? We don't know what we would expect when we wake up tomorrow. And so while we could benefit from this, we should ensure that all possible benefits we can reap from this program, we must continue to reap for national development purposes. But we cannot do that closing our eyes to the future and what is likely, what are the possibilities of the near future. And again, I close by saying, Mr. Speaker, we cannot be bringing bills to this House and then complain that someone asked a question about the cost implication. We cannot. This is why we are here. We are here to ensure that we protect the country as it relates to the financial decisions made through these bills. And that is why there are some bills, Mr. Speaker, it is mandatory that the financial implication is stated. And I believe this should be a norm. As I said, not in the bill, but it must be a norm that we be reassured that the decisions we agreed to across this room, that we should not be concerned about financial implication because the government is given the assurance. We've examined this, and this is what it is likely to cost. 2 sentences. This is what it is likely to cost, and this is the total benefit that we intend to secure from our investment in having this office hosted here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable MP and Leader of His Majesty Opposition. Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to thank members on both sides for their contribution to this bill, to the debate on this bill. And I must say that some very valid points were raised, especially as it relates to the desire to seek alternatives to raise finance to service the country. I think it's a wider discussion that the country and the government needs to have, inclusive of the opposition and other stakeholders in the country. But that, as it's mentioned, is, while important, I think it is also important for us to recognize that this program, CBI program, has been a very valuable program over the years and has contributed significantly to the economic development of our country. And by strengthening the legislation in this manner, can add years to the life of the program. And I think as a responsible government, we need to continue to look for ways to strengthen all of our legislation, including this CBI legislation program, so that we can be seen as a government and as a country that is well run, well managed, and very transparent in the way that we function and operate. So again, I wish to thank all members for contribution on this bill, and I commend it for its second reading. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader of Government Business. Honourable members, the question is that the bill be read a second time. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it.
A bill for an act shortly entitled
Grenada Citizenship by Investment Amendment Bill 2026.
We'll have government business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that the House resolves itself into a committee of the whole House to consider this bill clause by clause. Thank you.
Honorable members, the question is that this Honorable House resolves itself into a committee of the whole House to consider the bill clause by clause. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it. This Honorable House is now in committee.
Clause 1, short title and commencement.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 1 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 2, interpretation.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 2 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 3, amendment of Section 2 of the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 3 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it.
Clause 4, amendment of Section 3 of the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 4 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 5, insertion of new sections 3A to 3H in the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 5 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 6, amendment of Section 4 of the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 6 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 7, repeal and substitution of Section 7 of the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 7 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 8, insertion of new sections 7A and 7B in the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 8 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 9, insertion of new sections 8B and 8C in the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 9 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 10, amendment of Section 13 of the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 10 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 11, insertion of new sections 13A to 13H in the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 11 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 12, amendment of Section 14 of the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 12 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 13, insertion of new Section 14A in the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 13 forms part of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it.
Clause 14, amendment of Section 15 of the Principal Act.
Honourable members, the question is that Clause 14 forms part of the bill. All those in favour, say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 15, insertion of new sections 15A and 15B in the Principal Act.
Honourable members, the question is that Clause 15 forms part of the bill. All those in favour, say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 16, amendment of Section 16 of the Principal Act.
Honourable members, the question is that Clause 16 forms part of the bill. All those in favour, say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it.
Clause 1, short title and commencement.
Honourable members, the question is that Clause 1 forms part of the bill. All those in favour, say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it indeed. The ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I beg to move that the House resumes and the chairman of the committee report progress on the bill.
Honourable members, the question is that the House resumes and the chairman of the committee reports progress on the bill. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it. This Honourable House now resumes. Honourable members, I have to report that the bill was considered by a committee of the whole House and passed without amendment. Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that the chairman's report be adopted.
Honourable members, the question is that the chairman's report be adopted. All those in favour, say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it. The Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move the third reading of the bill.
Honourable members, the question is that the bill be read a third time. Honourable members, the question is that the bill be read a third time and pass. All those in favour, say aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it.
A bill for an act shortly entitled Grenada Citizenship by Investment Amendment Bill 2026.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that this Honourable House be adjourned. Sign it aye.
I see two lights. I want to turn to MP for St. Mark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to raise a concern concerning a procedural matter which presented itself at this sitting. And as a member of this Honourable House, which is deemed to be the highest institution in our country, and also as Deputy Speaker, I would not like to leave here without some clarity on the matter, because one day I may have to be in your chair, Mr. Speaker, and I may have to deliberate on a similar matter, and I am confused at this time. The leader of the opposition leader, raised a concern in regard to the questions or the response to questions which she had placed to this Honourable House. And her concern was, and I'm not verbatim on that, Her concern was that this question is asked of the minister, and the minister is expected to respond, and that it is unacceptable that at our level we accept a response from a public officer. Now, it doesn't matter where the minister's source of information came from. The public officers are very knowledgeable, and they are involved in the day-to-day operations of the ministries. However, the question is asked of a minister, and then to relegate that or delegate it to a public officer, even at the level of a permanent secretary, I find that unacceptable, and I may be wrong, but I find it unacceptable. I know in some instances the Prime Minister may speak or respond to the question if the minister is not sitting in this honorable house. But however, a written report from a public officer, I find it unacceptable. Now, what I gleaned from your response was that it was noted, and my impression is that it was left at that. So my question is, does the Speaker intend to make a judgment on that, to put some clarity on it, so that first of all, that if it's unacceptable, that it should not recur, it should not happen again. And secondly, that we are all guided as members and persons with responsibilities, what our responsibilities and duties are to the other members in terms of respect in this honorable house. And I saw this as a breach of respect, as a breach of the dignity that this house is supposed to hold. And I am concerned that the Speaker has not ruled on the matter, and that therefore we would come another time and still have a repetition of this occurring, or on the contrary, the Speaker may say that this is well justified, and we may have to go down to the books and we may have to ask otherwise. But I deem it as infraction to the honor of this honorable house. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, let me just respond to this. The Speaker's ruling is usually respected in the House, not questioned. It is the Speaker's view that the Honorable MP gave the reasons for not accepting the responses. She was given a reason why she didn't accept the responses. And I said, noted. That was her position. She was saying she didn't accept the responses, and those were the reasons. All right, so I indicated to this Honorable House that I have noted why she didn't consider the answers to be acceptable. And as far as I'm concerned as Speaker, it was an appropriate response to the observation that she raised. Okay? Honorable MP.
Mr. Speaker, just one moment.
Just sit, please, Honorable MP, for St. Mark. Just resume your seat, please. Honorable MP for St. Andrew Northwest.
So, Mr. Speaker, as we adjourn this honorable house, I rise with a heavy heart. I speak today not only as the MP of St. Andrew Northwest and Minister of Government, but as a mother. We are fully in the carnival season. This is a time when citizens celebrate culture and creativity. Mr. Speaker, in fact, I was happy when I am seeing new emergence in the Calypso scene as Little Jello, a young person, Jerrington, and I see a number of females making it to the final, but that's not the subject. We are seeing violent activities in many of those carnival activities. Today, one young man is fighting for his life, and several others are nursing wounds, while others are now remanded at His Majesty's prison. Mr. Speaker, beyond every one of these incidents, whether those in the hospital or the one fighting for his life, or those in prison is a family carrying pain, worry, disappointment, and fear. And so I want to speak to our young people. I want to beg them, please, 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 do not allow one moment of anger, one poor decision, or one act of violence to define the rest of their life. Walk away from conflict. I urge them to leave every weapon behind. One poor decision can cost a life, a future, and your freedom. I am also concerned about the number of underage children in those activities. And Mr. Speaker, in some instances, almost without clothing. Mr. Speaker, this is not about blame. It's a reminder of responsibility we all share to protect our children. I want to use this opportunity to urge parents and guardians to be vigilant during the carnival season. Know where your children are. Know who they are with. Know when they leave home and when they return. Our children need our guidance, our presence, and our protection, especially during the season, when there are so many activities and opportunities for them to be exposed to the risk. I also want to express concern about another troubling trend among young people. Every year, Mr. Speaker, after the carnival season, we have reports from the Ministry of Health, reports that indicate an increase in sexual transmitted disease. Mr. Speaker, what is also important to note that those increase is not among the adult, but is teenage children and underage children and young people. Mr. Speaker, this should concern every parent, every guardian, every teacher, every church leader, and indeed every one of us present. For too many of our young people are placing themselves at risk and in some instances making decisions that can have lifelong consequences for their health, their education, and their future. I want to encourage our young people to focus on the goals, their education, their ambition, and the purpose that lies ahead of them. There is a time for everything in life. Do not allow peer pressure, social media influences, or temporary emotions to lead you into decisions that can alter your course of your future. To parents and guardians, I urge you to be vigilant. Have the difficult conversation with your children. Self-respect and personal safety. Silence cannot be our response when the evidence before us demands action. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, MP for St. Andrew Northwest. Leader of His Majesty Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, just 1 minute, just for absolute clarity. Now, I would expect that at the next sitting, the questions that I would have placed for answering would be resubmitted. I just want to state that for the record for absolute clarity.
You'll be resubmitting those?
Answered. So maybe if you can advise me, do you want me to resubmit the questions or the answers would be correctly submitted or sent to me accordingly? Because as I said, just for absolute clarity, I cannot accept the answers that I receive for the reasons stated earlier. So you would need to guide me. Should I resubmit the questions or are we going to have the answers resubmitted?
I would have to deliberate on this.
Okay.
And rule on it in future.
Mr. Speaker, if you can allow me, we can also revert to what has been the norm in this parliament.
I responded to you, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, since I guess we're speaking on the adjournment, I'm happy to add my piece to on this issue.
Are you speaking on the adjournment,
yes,
Prime Minister? Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, since I'm the Minister for Transport, I think any cursory research of parliamentary practice will tell you when written questions are asked, responses are provided in writing. Cursory parliamentary procedure, desktop online search will tell you that when the questions are asked of the ministers, naturally the ministers will go to their permanent secretaries or financial secretaries or whatever term these various officers may have to obtain the answers, right? For example, some of the questions asked in relation to the transport minister was how many students took the buses. Where do you think that information is going to come from? From the persons who are obviously operating it. If the honorable members, leader of opposition somehow feels disrespected or in any way diminished by the fact that the questions came from the Transport Commission through me, meaning I have signed off on the answers, but if it is that she wishes to see my signature appended to it as the minister responsible for transportation, we obviously have no intention of disrespecting, and I'll be happy to do so, Mr. Speaker. So let's not make a mountain of a mole and suggest that somehow our public servants are beneath us and do not have the authority to provide answers to questions that only naturally they alone can provide. We as members of parliament and ministers are policymakers. So if you're asking me how many buses, how many students, which zones, etc., how many pigs, how many goats, how many sheep, how many cattle, how many potatoes, then naturally, Mr. Speaker, the answers would have to come from the public officers. And when the responses are sent, obviously the ministers would have signed off on it. But if, for the avoidance of doubt, you need to see the minister's signature appendage to it so that there's no suggestion that the public officers are responding without oversight by the ministers, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure myself and the Honorable Minister for Agriculture will be happy to do so, and I'm sure for future purposes, so we don't have to cross this bridge again, we'll be happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. You have your position, you want to finish? I see your light on.
Mr. Speaker, I really want to emphasize, because you see, we don't, as the member for St. David said, we don't want to go down this road again. And I did say when I spoke, we expect the officers to submit the response. I said that. But I'm making the further point that I cannot accept responses that says it's coming from someone who is not the minister. We ought to set it straight and get it right, Mr. Speaker. It's not a trivializing anything. This is an important matter. We ought not to trivialize these important matters. And so,
Honorable, I did respond to you on it, so I think we shouldn't belabor it any further.
No, and I got your response, I understand that, but I'm just saying we ought not to trivialize this. This is important.
All right. You have government business? Honorable members, that is Honorable House now be adjourned, sine die. All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it indeed, the ayes have it. This Honorable House is now adjourned, sine die.